Okay, so the next report to look at will be the GL pivot entries template. Just like the pivot account history, this is based on using data in conjunction with a pivot table. This template is going to be on the file server under Services, Templates, Distributed Report Templates, Office Connector, Financials, Development. I'm going to go ahead and run the report. And as I've noted with other reports, the main thing to test first off would be the user's experience when they launch it, to make sure that we're seeing what we expect to see and not seeing any unexpected prompts or messages or what have you. So I'll select the data folder and log in. Okay. Step one with any of these reports is going to be first to read the information sheet and make sure that everything here is accurate. Make sure that we don't have anything that's unclear, misspelled, or what have you. The version number of Office Connector should be 2.04 or higher, even though that's not technically released yet. So check that over. On every worksheet, we want to bring up the print window and confirm that we see a reasonable page layout in terms of page header, page footer, no unexpected breaks, cutting things off, and what have you. Even though someone may never print the information sheet or the sample value sheet, we just don't want something totally wrong to appear there, like some that I've seen in the past at AP Invoice at the top. Okay, so then the next thing would be to look at this from the perspective of a sales demo, where we're just launching the report and wanting to use sample values to immediately show some results, but not spend a whole lot of time going over details of how it works. So I'm going to start with that. So I'll click on the sample values tab, click use these values. We want to make sure that it pops in the values as we expect, so it pops in the appropriate year and period. I'm not sure what the number of years back was, so we'll have to. That's interesting. Let's try this again. Many of the reports I think are suffering from a common issue in that you have to refresh them more than once, and so obviously that's going to be an entry in Bugzilla. So even if I recorded in this video, don't assume that it's reported. Please record issues in Bugzilla so we can make sure that they're accounted for and then checked off as we fix them. And in this case, the number of years back prompt, I'm not sure is applicable to this report. That might have been because this was copied from the account activity template and never eliminated. I'm not sure. It could just be that my memory is faulty and don't recall why that was there. Okay, so when it's done, what we would expect in any of these is that it's going to pop us over to the pivot table sheet when it's done refreshing, and that's what it did. In any of the pivot table templates, we're going to have a tab that has the raw data. Again, I don't see this broken out by year and period, so I don't think that number of years back thing is relevant in this case. So what we're seeing here, though, is every account, every account in our GL account table with the prefixes parsed out, including the base and suffix parsed out, and then showing account types and which statement it would appear on, things like that, and then period activity and balance. So that's just raw data, not very usable in that format. And that's what the pivot table is for, in that a user of this could then very easily and very quickly take this information and customize it and rearrange it. So as an example, right now down in the row labels, we're saying that the row labels consist of statement type, and account title. Well, if I eliminated some of these and just dragged that back up to the top, okay, now it's just row labels by account. So I have one row for every base account. And you'll see that over in the column labels I have prefix A, so I get a column for every prefix A. If I had multiple prefixes, I could add prefix B as well and have a column grouping I could expand to show the prefix B breakdown for each prefix A. So this report really allows you to take your general ledger data where you have prefixes and kind of slice and dice it and create any kind of summary that you might think of by prefix, by account type, by account. Only thing that's really lacking is by year and period, which would be the other report. Just like with the other report, if I click this row grouping, it'll expand out to show me these slicers. And slicers are just a very quick way of applying a filter. So if I wanted to eliminate company 10 and company 50, I just turn those off. I notice that the pivot table adjusts automatically. It's no longer showing those. I can bring company 10 back, and it comes back. So that's kind of what those are there for. As noted up here in the top, the slicers only work with Excel 2010 on up. This report can be used with Excel 2007, and that is something we want to test if possible as well. And I did test this already on at least one machine. And in Excel 2007, these appear as just empty boxes. And that's fine, and we're noting that it doesn't work with 2007 anyway, but all the rest of the report does work. So anyway, that's how slicers are designed to operate. As far as testing this thing, we will want to compare values. So I'd spot check account values, probably at least one or so per account type. Spot check different consolidations relative to what the values that appear on the Timberline financial statements, and then also just test out functionality. So we're describing up here in the top how to use this thing. So we'd want to test out the functionality relative to how we're describing this should work. Drag things and drop things wherever, and just make sure that we're seeing the expected behavior. Just like with the account activity report, I wouldn't be as concerned about page layout, just simply because as you customize the pivot table and drag and drop things around on this, that may cause you to have a larger number of columns than what would fit on a page. But even so, when you bring up the print window, we'd still expect that the page header is going to be there, and it's going to be the correct page header as well as a page footer. We just wouldn't expect anything abnormal, I guess is what we're looking for. But in terms of number of columns, it may very well flow off the page and break the report up into 2 pages, and that's fine. Okay, so that is everything for that report. Also, as I noted on the account activity pivot table, in the after refresh event of Office Connector, there's a macro telling it to refresh the pivot table automatically. So it's not a normal function of Excel. Normally, if we didn't have any special logic in there at all, when this data changes and we get all new values in these columns or new accounts added, Excel does not automatically refresh the pivot table to reflect the new values. You have to separately click here and say refresh to get the updated values. So fortunately in this report, though, we have that as part of the macro in the after refresh macro, so it does do a refresh of the pivot table right after the data refresher. So we just want to test and confirm that, again, that's behaving as expected. Alright, so I think that is everything on that report.